Good evening, my friend. Welcome to the show. I am Lou Mangello. It is Wednesday night. As always, it's my favorite night of the week because I get to spend it with you. If you're watching live, thank you for being here. Please don't forget to tag and invite a friend to come and watch with us in the comments. And if you're watching on the replay, don't forget to join us every Wednesday right here, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Be sure and turn on notifications too, because you never know where else and when else I may go live. As you can tell from the title card, this week's show, I am in the spirit of the season. I guess I should have put on a Halloween costume as we start to approach, but my Spider-Man underoos fit a little bit more tightly. Thank you, COVID-19. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody who joined last week when I was live from, I can't say sunny New Jersey because it was nighttime, but I was live from Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. I appreciate you spending time with me as I was taking care of some stuff for my mom. I also want to thank everybody who tuned into and has already given some great feedback about this week's show, the history of Halloween in the Disney parks. Man, I had a lot of fun. In case you couldn't tell, I had a lot of fun recording this one with little Jimmy Corcus. I love the Halloween season. I especially love it at Walt Disney World. I know 2020, it's a lot kind of different, but there's still the spirit, pun intended, of the season. That's what I want to talk about tonight. I thought about saving it for next week, but I might have something special planned for next week. Got to see if I can pull it off. Stay tuned because we get closer to the Halloween holiday, which, I'm not kidding, is really one of my favorite holidays. Yes, I dig Christmas for all the reasons, but the little kid in me, the 7-year-old boy trapped in this massive 50-some-odd-year-old body, still loves the idea of getting dressed up and trick-or-treating and candy corn and pumpkin and scary movies. And I love Halloween in the parks. And even with everything that's gone on this year in 2020, Disney has found a way, and lots of different ways, to celebrate it. Who knows? That might even tie into tonight's Top 5 Live Halloween edition. But I really wanted to give you, on this week's show, a sense of how we got from there to here. How we got from those early days in Disneyland where Halloween really wasn't celebrated or even acknowledged in the parks to what, until this year, has been a pretty big deal. Halloween starts earlier. It doesn't really run later because it ends on November 1st, but Halloween goes from, again, the holidays start much earlier now in the park, so I think they start putting the Halloween decorations up right around Easter time, which is when Target starts actually putting up the Christmas decorations. It doesn't matter, but when you get into even sort of those late August days and September and October, when the weather starts to cool down a little bit and it really starts to feel like Halloween, there's nothing like the way Magic Kingdom comes to life. And this year we'll talk a little bit about how it's different this year. Some of the things that Disney does, I dig those little character cavalcade mini pop-up parades, as it were. But if you tuned into this week's show, first, thank you. 2, don't forget to spread the word and share it. And 3, what did you think about the history of Halloween in the Disney parks? Was there anything that you remember seeing over the years, either at Walt Disney World or Disneyland? And I wanted to make sure I included a discussion of the Halloween festivities, because they're very different in the overseas parks. So if you had a chance to visit Paris, Hong Kong, Shanghai, or Tokyo, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Becky Menken, I know you have certainly enjoyed and partaken of the Halloween festivities overseas. We actually were chatting the other day about just how different, how legitimately spooky and downright scary it is. Hong Kong Disneyland, I'm looking right at you and some of your walk through, it reminded me of a much better produced, but like the Haunted Mansion in Brigantine, New Jersey, or the Haunted Mansion in Long Branch, if any of you guys are from New Jersey and remembered. Kevin Harrington says, I stayed at the campgrounds in Halloween. It is awesome. I agree. I think we talked about this, that the Fort Wilderness campgrounds during the Halloween season is and should be a destination. Even this year, because the guests and the campers really take it on themselves to not just decorate their campers, but their entire campsites. And some people actually get more than one. I've seen everything from trick-or-treat paths to full-blown movie screens outside, walk-through attractions, music, lights, sound, smoke, snacks, candy. Yay! And the golf cart parade. One of my favorite things to do, and we've done this in years past, is rent a golf cart, go through Fort Wilderness just to show you how people decorate. I'd be very curious to see what it's like this year. And then, of course, there's the campfire sing-along, which has a little sort of Halloween touch to it with Chip and Dale. And the late night at Crockett's Tavern is not the worst either. Gosh, how I missed the buffet. But the Halloween golf cart parades, Kevin Harrington, I agree. Again, people either rent them there. A lot of people bring their own golf carts, and they decorate them as though they were parade floats to a certain degree. Becky says we should redo Hong Kong at Halloween again. I can actually read what your weird typing says. I agree. Next year, I'm not saying that we're not going to Asia, but man, I would really love to go to Asia again. And Becky and I had a little brainstorming session, and just when we were at the end, as time was ticking down, my little light bulb went off. The caffeine and the sugar kicked in, and if we're able to pull that other idea off, Becky, that could be a lot of fun. So COVID, beat it. We've got plans to take care of. But again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the holidays. Jeremy Goff says, I'm going to just drive my golf cart all the way from Massachusetts. Should make it down by February when the Halloween decorations are going back up. So, we kid around about how long it takes, to overlay a park. Christmas is obviously, and the holidays is a much larger production. But Halloween really takes place sort of overnight. And again, I think in past years, mid to late August is usually when it happens. We talked on the show, Jim mentioned how Disney Cruise Line does it as well. That takes place over just a couple of hours. And the Halloween tree there, it has a different storyline, but is evocative of the Halloween tree in Disneyland, is really cool. I'd love to do a Halloween cruise. Again, any excuse to get dressed up. I so desperately wish I could have a Halloween party this year and have friends come over. We'd all have to wear just hazmat suits. That's how I can have a Halloween party this year. We all wear hazmat suits with gas masks, and we can, socially distance accordingly. So, but being safe, obviously, top priority, and we'll talk a little bit about how that's going to affect some things that we've got planned before the end of the night, because I'm sure Becky's going to remind me over and over again. Jonathan Embry, how you doing, brother? Says my next cruise next year is going to be a Halloween cruise. I love the themed cruises. I have not. Did I do a Halloween cruise? I think I was on board as they were transitioning from a Halloween cruise to the Christmas decorations. Jeremy Goff says missing the Halloween party this year was heartbreaking. I agree with you. There's a lot to love about the Halloween party, even if you don't necessarily ride anything. Just wandering through the parks, and even just the parks in general during the Halloween season. I will say, though, and we'll touch on this when we get to the top 5 live, is one of the things that I really enjoy that Disney is doing this year, again, because there are no Halloween parties, it's sort of Halloween town every day, meaning that especially in places like the Hub, there's some really cool, well-themed Halloween music that I've never really heard otherwise. Probably a similar track to what's played during the Halloween party, but usually there's so much other stuff going on, from the Hocus Pocus Villains Spectacular to the Boo-to-You Parade, that it almost gets lost. But especially with the lower crowds, it was very much pronounced the last time I was there with a bunch of friends, and we just sort of noticed how cool and spooky the music was. The pumpkin decorations are up. Again, because the park closes for the most part, before sundown, you don't get the projections and the lights on Main Street the same way. You don't get the nighttime parade, and all the things that brings to it. Halloween after dark in the park, but there's still snacks, so you got that going for you. Mark hasn't done the Halloween party, only the Christmas party, hoping to do Halloween soon in Walt Disney World. Jeremy Goff says, I spend upwards of 3 months making our costumes every year. I spent that time eating this year. Welcome to the Lou Mangello world. And I've seen some of your costumes. Your Dreamfinder and Figment a year or so ago was really, really good. Derek, I also missed the live actors on the Haunted Mansion lawn. You may hear me talking about Carlotta at some point later on in the show. Even just how they plus up the decor, the decorations, the music, the smoke, the lighting effects at night. We almost took some of those things for granted in the past. I don't think that's going to happen again, right? I think one thing we're going to take away from this pandemic is not taking some of the things like eating out, like hugging for granted anymore. Certainly not the way Magic Kingdom and the other parks look and feel, not just during the holidays, but at any time. Becky says we actually must do Disneyland at Halloween. It's such a great job on the West Coast. I agree. Cars Land is done exceptionally well. Talk about taking a land that is so well themed and giving it a whole different feel with some subtle and more pronounced overlays. Even the signage on some of the shops and buildings and restaurants is so well done. The overlay for Guardians of the Galaxy, the parade, the food and the snacks are exceptional. You're going to make me cry because I'm missing Disneyland so very much. Spider-Man, I'm looking at you, like literally and figuratively, because we should have been seeing you already this year. Beatrice says, I was reminded this week of the Disneyland Halloween party 2 years ago. Amazing. Yeah, I've been getting those same Facebook. Man, those memories sometimes know how to hit you right in the heart, don't they? Morgan says, Halloween's my favorite holiday. The only season I've never been able to do at Disney, even after doing not one, but 2 college programs. I need to go in the next few years once the parties are back in swing. Morgan, I agree 100%, and I'm sure, fingers crossed, heart of hearts, praying hard that next year Halloween will be back to some semblance and hopefully just normal, because it is so well done. And if you dig some of the slightly spookier and scarier, the overseas parks do an exceptional job. Hong Kong's scare factor is way higher than, Mickey's not so scary here is very much not scary. It's kind of scary. Those walk-through attractions. And if you go to my Instagram, Instagram.com/Lou Mangello, and I can't seem to find the overlay. It doesn't matter. Go to Instagram.com/Lou Mangello. You'll see I posted some photos. I think I'm going to post them in the clubhouse today too, of how the holidays are celebrated. And there's a picture of a kid in a classroom, in a darkened classroom with great lighting and shadows, wearing a dunce cap. That's terrifying. Like, I almost didn't post it because people aren't going to believe that it's a Disney property and it's a Disney photo, but it absolutely is. Susie wants to see the Haunted Mansion overlay. I will say, Susie, it was interesting to see in Tokyo the Haunted Mansion holiday, the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay in the quote-unquote our version of the mansion as opposed to the Disneyland version of the mansion, to give it a sense of what it would be like. Again, we talked on the show how it's been rumored that the overlay that is in Tokyo was originally built for Walt Disney, and they decided to pull it back, realize that the vacationing guests here, as opposed to the more local crowds in Disneyland and over in Tokyo, probably one, wouldn't like the mansion being down for so long, and two, want to see the classic attraction all the time. So it does make sense to have it there. I know a lot of people are talking about Disneyland and it not opening and don't want to sort of open up a Pandora's box. I know Disney is ready. They are willing. They are anxious. And my heart goes out to every single one of those cast members that has been furloughed or laid off or just in this awful, awful waiting period. I put this out before. I will put it out again. If there is anything I can do, if you are a cast member that has been laid off in either Walt Disney World, Disneyland, anywhere in between, please feel free to reach out. I am happy to help you any way that I can. Derek says, Pellerin says, Pinocchio. Yeah, the Pinocchio in the walkthrough in Hong Kong is terrifying. It is not sort of the Disney cartoon version, but it's very creepy, and it is truly the stuff of nightmares, but incredibly well done. Tacey is asking about when is cruising starting up. We'll talk a little bit about that as we talk about our Marvel Day at Sea cruise and some of the other cruises coming up as well. Jason Knap from Here with the Magic says, the Disneyland Haunted Mansion overlay is one of my very favorite things, and I sometimes wish it was permanent. That's a big matzo ball you're throwing out there, because I said on the show, I'm surprised at how much I liked it, but there's still something about the Haunted Mansion, which is why it remains one of my top 3 attractions all time. I'm going to do that as a top 5 live. I'm going to do my top 5 all time Disney parks attractions anywhere. And I hate to sound like BuzzFeed, but number 1 might surprise you, because it might. Becky says, I can't get Pinocchio in Hong Kong out of my brain. It was right. It was unsettling. But incredibly well produced. And while I don't think those type of walkthrough attractions will ever make their way here to the States, they're very well done there. So, Mark says, Halloween on the high seas is so much fun. Mark, I agree. I think the themed cruises as a whole are just really well done. Speaking of which, nice segue, Mangello. It's a big reason why I am excited for, fingers crossed, that Marvel Day at Sea does in fact happen January 23rd through the 28th. I mean, the fact that it is later in the month is encouraging. You can speak to Becky privately here or offline. I did talk with her about that. We are waiting to hear what Disney is going to do. I know the cruise line industry as a whole is working together to try and figure out what to do based on guidelines that are coming, that have already come from the CDC, and that they're hopefully expecting to be updated within the next few weeks. Nobody wants this cruise to happen more than I do, and I still say, not only do I feel comfortable cruising, look, if Disney says tomorrow, hey, we're going out in January, I'm going to be the first guy in the port, right? Because I'm so excited, because I trust what they've done here in World. I've trusted what they've done at sea in the past. I think their protocols were so already high that I can only imagine what they are going to do now. I do believe the ships are still, I think all 4 ships are still in France now, getting some updates, maybe getting, some things installed to prepare them to go out to sea and start taking on guests, hopefully as early as January. I don't know if it'll happen before the end of the year. I think that some of the things that we've seen installed in the parks, in just your neighborhood restaurant in terms of plexiglass. Boy, if you own a plexiglass company, it's been a good few months for you. But I do believe that's why they're there. I do believe that's what we're going to see coming back. And while they only may, and I'm guessing, and I'm speculating completely, while they only may start with maybe a single ship out of a single port, we don't know. Our Marvel Day at Sea cruise does leave out of Miami, so fingers crossed on it. I do know that Disney has extended the dates for final payment, and if the cruise, and Becky, correct me if I'm wrong, if the cruise does in fact get canceled, I do believe that you get a 125% credit for a future cruise. I would rather take the cruise and not the credit. Becky says we're waiting for the CDC to give the green light for recommendations from the cruise lines that are working really well in Europe. Once we have that, we'll start hearing specific date and itineraries, hoping very, very soon. David Dossie, Disney will be the safest cruise line by far. I don't know that they'll be the first, right? I don't know that Disney will be the first one to go out of the gate or out of the port before seeing how other cruise lines handle it, how guests respond to it as well. But again, if you're interested in our Marvel Day at Sea cruise, you can go to www.com/Marvel Cruise, and you can still get, Becky, I still believe there's availability. You get a free, no obligation quote there. And look, even if you're planning on going on a cruise, World, Land when it opens, Aulani, I got you in my sights as well. You can go to mousefantravel.com. Free, no obligation quote, free. It's free. And tell them Lou sent you. Like, you don't have to wear a t-shirt or anything. You can just tell them that Lou sent you, and they will be happy to help you out. So there you go. So that's a little discussion about Halloween in the parks. I would love to know more about your experiences in the past. What do you love about Halloween? What would you like to see in the future come to Halloween in the parks? Whether it's something that you've seen in the overseas parks, maybe seen in another park elsewhere. What can Disney really do to plus things up? And what has your experience been if you've been during the Halloween season now in Walt Disney World? Again, making lemonade from lemons, the fact that you don't need a ticket, that you can still enjoy the character cavalcades, the music, the different types of snacks, the merch is a benefit. You now no longer have to worry about paying for a ticket, getting a ticket, scheduling it. If your family is able to go, it's all included with regular admission. And Becky says, yes, we have 2 cabins available at day 1 prices. This is why I love Mouse Fan Travel for our Marvel Day at Sea cruise. So you go in and let us know. Jim Rohosky says, I'm still trying to talk my wife into finally trying a cruise. Jim, you, me, and your wife have to go out to breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. We could do a combination of all 3. We'll get her on board. Literally and figuratively, we will get her on board. Stephanie Fink says, I love Mouse Fan Travel. We booked for October 2021. Praying Adam Rosati and I can go from Canada then. We miss it. Yeah. Becky, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think bookings are now available for up to and through October 2021. I will only say this. You're going to want to be there for the 50th for a lot of reasons. That's all I'm saying. So you want to book on or around and in and including October 1st, 2021. Maybe come in a day or 2 early, maybe 3 days early. You never know. But I'm not saying anything. I am not necessarily allowed. Crystal wants to know, Becky, if one of those rooms is a balcony room. So you guys can maybe take that offline or answer. My boys would love Marvel Day. Maggie Haggard, I'm going to tell you, I have been able to partake in the Marvel Day at Sea cruise. And other than the Alaska itinerary, it is my favorite cruise. It is that well done. And you don't have to even be a huge Marvel fan, but I've done the holiday cruise, I've done the Star Wars cruise, I've done the Marvel cruise, and Marvel far and away is outstanding. And I've said it before, I will say it again. The finale stage show on deck for the Marvel Day at Sea cruise rivals any stage show you will see on board or in a Disney park. It's that good. And they take advantage of not just the deck of the ship, but so many other elements, both outside and inside. I don't want to give too much away. So there are videos, but it's amazing. Melissa Santorelli says, I've never been for Halloween, teacher life. Listen, as a teacher, I appreciate you. What grades do you teach? But once this virus decides to leave, they had better find a substitute for me because a long weekend in October is happening. Come on down. October is a great time to come and visit. So do I take personal days for that or Marathon 2022? Beth, marathon, schmarathon, come down for, I would, if it was me and I had to choose, look at me, obviously, I would certainly choose, look, the 50th only comes once. Marathon weekend happens every year. So you gotta decide what works potentially for you. Amanda Bonner from Disney Travel for All. So nice to see you again. If you've never been to Disney Travel for All, you have to go and visit Amanda's site and check out her podcast because she's one of those podcasters too. But all this talk about Halloween really has me in the spirit. Wait, before I forget, did you listen to this week's show? More importantly, did you enter this week's trivia contest music here? Dun dun dun. That's really more from Cannonball Run. It doesn't matter. But this week's trivia contest, it's simple, it's easy, it's fun to play. Listen to the show, go to the show notes, answer the form there. You can win the 102 Ways book, the audio tours of Walt Disney World, which still, by the way, available, $10 each. Anyway, but you also can win one of these sweet cobalt blue WDW radio mugs. Look, I didn't even cheap out. I got the logo on both sides. Only available if you win the trivia contest or if you come to my house and I give you one or steal one. But I would prefer that you just win the trivia contest. So again, just check out this week's show at www.com/606. So like I said, it did get me into the Halloween mood, even though things are different. I was out today at the grocery store and Walgreens, and it's just stocked with candy and Halloween goodness. And I love the Halloween decorations and the creativity of so many people. And while this year is different, I'm in the mood, both at home and in the parks. And that's why it made me think about this week's Top 5 Live. Each week, instead of a Top 10 with Timmy Foster, it's Top 5 Live with just me and you. It's a Top 5 Live with us, Zach Brown. It's a Mangello mug. And this week, like I said, I really wanted to concentrate on things I love about Halloween in Walt Disney World. I almost started singing some of my favorite Halloween songs. You don't want to hear that either. Trust me. You think you do, but you don't. So before I get into the list, I will tell you, I thought about talking about Halloween in Walt Disney World either specifically to this year or not, or excluding this year, because it is going to be the exception to the rule. But I sort of decided to include both because I think that there's reasons to come this year, and without a doubt, there are reasons to come every year. Becky says I should send him a mug with my face on the other side. eBay is where you will potentially find that mug if you so do it. But let's get into my list, and I will explain it as I go along. And as I do, I'm going to be reading your comments. Chime in, let me know what you think of the ones that I've included on my list, the ones that I maybe excluded on the list, and what your favorite things about Halloween in Walt Disney World specifically are. I was tempted to, but I left out the other parks. So kicking things off with number 5, it's not happening this year, but the Hocus Pocus Villains Spectacular is one of my favorite parts of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. The cult following that Hocus Pocus has garnered over the past maybe 7 to 10 years ago has really been incredible. And a couple of years ago, when they launched the Villain Spectacular, the stage show is not only so well produced, but it's fun, it's funny, it involves not just the Sanderson sisters look like they just stepped off the screen, but their interactions, playful and otherwise, with some of the other villains and characters is really, really, really well done. And it is a highlight. It's a very big highlight of the. Becky says she's never seen Hocus Pocus. Can we all just sort of let that sink in just for a Becky, you've been stuck in the house for like 9 months. Heather hasn't seen Hocus Pocus. Who knows? Maybe that's going to change this week. Spoiler alert. Anyway, Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular, when it comes back next year, you've got to make sure you see it. So when you come down to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World and whoever knows what else we might have planned, you've got to go. Becky, wait a minute. We're going to do, how did I not think of this before? Wait a minute. How did I not think about this before? We need to do hold on a second. We need to do a WDW radio night at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So that other idea that we talked about, that's still on the books. But if we make it, a multi-day thing, that's what we got to do. We're going to pick a night and we're all going to go together. Imagine how much fun we're going to have trick-or-treating. Anyway, I digress. Back to the list. I get so excited, right? All right, so number 5 is the Hocus Pocus Villains Spelltacular. Number 4 are the costumes. And what I love about Halloween and Walt Disney World, and when I say the costumes, I mean yours, mine, the fact that we can all get dressed up together. Look, I love the costumes on the kids and the creativity of the parents. For the Halloween parties in the past, again, for Halloween parties, adults can get dressed up, not covering your face. This year, it's different. This year, adults are allowed to dress up any day you want. So again, as long as you follow the guidelines of wearing a face covering, it's like contradictory, but it's not. You need to wear a face covering mask, but not cover your face wearing a Halloween mask. You follow? Like not a Ben Cooper mask, but a face covering so that you don't spread or contract COVID. So, and I've seen this a lot from the very first day that they sort of flipped the switch to the fall and Halloween. I saw adult guests, kids at heart, adult guests in very, very well constructed homemade costumes. So I love to see adults taking advantage of the ability to come in costume now, as well as during the Halloween party, and the super creative parents that make up some amazing costumes. Rachel Novak says there's so many really creative costumes. One of my favorites is it's the 1 hour into the party and I didn't wear a 100-degree Florida heat-proof costume outfit I see on a lot of dads. As somebody who has an Ewok costume, I can tell you, I know exactly what it is that you mean. So Bill Danny, yes, you can wear a mask and a mask, but don't wear a mask, if you understand the difference. I see some people saying that they regret not wearing a costume, and you should. Look, you're never going to see those people again. This is the place to go to have fun. Kira says we could all go as one of the happy haunts of the mansion. There should be plenty of characters there to pick from. Oh, God, that's a great idea, too. You could go as the organist. You can go as the dueling ghosts. You can go as grandma blowing out the candles. Really, really like that as well. So the costumes, yours, our ability to wear them, the kids, the characters, Mickey and the Fab Five and the other characters dressed in their Halloween best are great. When we went to Disneyland last year, seeing the characters dressed up there differently than they are here, I really, really like a lot. But Brittany says, I've never gone without a costume, but you could do something simple as well. There's a lot of super creative that you can do. All right, let's move down to number 3, the sights, the sounds, and the smells of Main Street USA. And this is one of the things that I found I really, really missed this year, was just spending time on Main Street USA, which I do anyway. But when the sun goes down and the lights come up and the spooky music is playing and it has those auras of the oranges and the reds and the projections on the buildings that line Main Street with the castle in the distance and the pumpkin in the center, it takes on an incredibly different feel. Plus the sounds of the music and the spooky sounds of the animals and the thunder and the lightning, and yes, the smells that come out of the confectionery and the bakery, and the wafting waffles coming out of the Main Street ice cream parlor. All of those things. Look, Main Street USA is a five senses, 360-degree experience, even more so during the holidays, including and especially Halloween. Chris loves the orange and the purple castle. I agree with you. Just Main Street as a whole. And then when the parade comes down and the headless sword, oy vey, it's so good. All right, so the Villain Spectacular, the costumes, mine, yours, kids, characters, and the sights, sounds, and smells make up our bottom three. Coming in at number 2, the Fort Wilderness campsites. And I almost want to exclude the saying campsites because it's Fort Wilderness as a whole. You can and should make an evening going to Fort Wilderness. You don't necessarily need to have a reservation anywhere. One of the things I've said before I love doing is renting a golf cart and just driving through all of the different loops, especially some of the bigger RV loops where they really go all out. In the past, they've also done the Headless Horseman experience. They've actually done a hard ticketed event at the Legend of Sleepy Hollow event, which I obviously did not happen this year. Hopefully will come back next year. Kevin Lively says those campers are nuts with their decorations. They're nuts in the best possible way. They decorate the golf carts. You can trick or treat. You can go in costume, and you really can and should make it a full night there. I keep saying every year that I want to either like have one of those RV companies set one up there, because they'll do it. You can rent an RV, they'll set it up there for you and stay in an RV for a couple days at the fort, or even just, getting one of the newly refurbished, by the way, cabins is really a lot of fun. I would love to camp like in a tent, but I would need help. Like I need lots and lots and lots of help because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I should probably have an RV park nearby just in case I get wigged out with all the bugs and stuff, and then I have to go there. So the spectacular, the costumes, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and the tastes of Main Street USA. If number 2 is the Fort Wilderness campsites, then number 1 has to be food related, because Mangello, dear Lou Mangello, how is it not food related? It's not, because number 1, it had to be the WDW parade. It is the best of the best of the best, and I say that now because it's Halloween season, and then when Christmas comes, I'm like, no, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party Parade. That's the best parade. I love the WDW parade because I love this holiday so much. We talked about it at length on the show this week in terms of the different themed floats as you go through and how it has changed and evolved over the past number of years. But having what I love about the parade is that each of the different floats is so well themed and has its own theme attached to it, like theme as in theme song attached to it. It's one of the reasons why I like it so much. And it did get an update in 2014. It got another one in 2019 when they added the Tomorrowland one. So you've got the Headless Horseman riding down the parade route to the Flight of the Valkyries, which is just spectacular. He trots now. He doesn't really gallop the way that he did in the past. Then you've got the Mickey, Minnie, and Disney characters doing their costume party in the gazebo. The Pirates has both Pirates of the Caribbean and the Pirates from Peter Pan, blending the medley of Pirate's Life and Yo-Ho. This one has evolved a number of times over the years. The Haunted Mansion float and the Gravediggers go without saying. If you've listened to the show this week, I really, really, really wanted to do my Clara Cluck impression as I did in my car today, singing along with the song as I was listening, running around doing some errands. The Tomorrowland float, and then the Trick or Treat float with the Goofy's Candy Company, and now the Sugar Rush delivery, and then that finale of the procession of the Disney villains and the skeleton band doing that, villains a go-go, is just so very well done. However, I would be remiss if I didn't have not one, not two, I don't know how many. I've got a number of honorable mentions, including Mickey's Halloween cavalcades. The Cadaver Dans are back again this year. I think today was actually the first day that the Cadaver Dans, imagine this, if the Dapper Dans went into Frontierland and were bitten by zombies during the apocalypse, they'd become the singing Cadaver Dans. They're a lot of fun. Of course, the spooky snacks and festive foods, and there are a lot. I could almost do an entire top 5 just about the food, because they're not just in Magic Kingdom and during the party, but now this year they're available anywhere. So whether it's cinnamon rolls, cinnamon donuts, the Hades nachos at Pecos Bills, they've got that sort of fiery hot buffalo chicken, the Constance wedding cake, pumpkin spice waffle sundae. You don't necessarily need to wear Uggs, yoga pants, and a vest to do it, but if you are a millennial, it absolutely does help. They've got pumpkin spice milkshakes and sundaes and floats, and it goes on and on and on, from the sweet to the savory. Not just there, but there's different flavors and options in Epcot, as well as Animal Kingdom, Hollywood. Animal Kingdom actually has a couple of really cool ones, including this amazing tire pumpkin novelty straw that you can find in a number of different locations. They've got a purple cauldron popcorn bucket. There's also some sweet and savory snacks over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So maybe you're upset that you can't get onto Rise of Resistance. That's okay, because you can drown your sorrows in a frozen apple cider with Crown Royal Regal Apple. It's alcoholic. They also have some non-alcoholic ones. Becky, yes, there's alcoholic ones. It also has a novelty poison apple glow cube in it. And then Disney Springs has a ton of great merchandise. There's a number of locations that have Halloween-themed menu items and fall offerings, including Deluxe Burger, Jock Lindsay's, the Daily Poutine, Dockside Margaritas, and a few other locations. And even some of the hotels do as well. And I had to, because I love her oh so very much. Madame Carlotta is not there this year, but she alone is worth spending some time in front of the Haunted Mansion during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. There's a number of special characters that come from regions beyond during the Halloween party, and Madame Carlotta is the best of the best of the best. She sits on the lawn, just improvising and chatting with guests all night long, and she's wonderful. I miss her very, very much. So there you go. That's my list. As the kids like to say, fight me or don't fight me. Agree with me. I'm going to post this as an image in the clubhouse, and I would love to know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and what maybe you would put on your list that I mistakenly forgot. Jeremy Goff says, last year we brought home 13 pounds of candy. I'm not judging one way or the other, but I'm so proud of you. That's the way to stick it to the man. And as Jim said on the show this week, like quality candy too. And they have a lot of allergy-friendly treats too. You actually can get an allergy-friendly bag, and then when you go to on your trick-or-treat trails, they will actually give you some of the allergy-friendly candy too. I'm in the mood now for a candy apple. I'd like a candy apple. I'd like a pumpkin donut, an apple cinnamon donut, a pumpkin spice something, some candy corns, and a Reese's peanut butter cup. Please. And I'm the guy that does not like sweets, but I'm in the whole spirit, right? I'm in the spirit of the season. Here you go. Quick question. What is your favorite Halloween movie? It does not have to be in the Disney world. And I don't even have a graphic ready for this. It doesn't matter. What is your favorite Halloween movie? Do you like them super scary? Do you like them silly? Do you like them funny? Like, what is one that you just have to sit down and watch every year? And Do you dig like the crazy scary ones? Like some of the ones, especially from the 70s, um, Exorcist, Omen, Amityville Horror, they still hold up to this day. Like the Omen and the Exorcist are legit really, really scary. 80s, you start to get more into the teenagers going down the wrong road, camping overnight, Kevin slasher type stuff. But even now, you're starting to get some really good ones as well. Derek says it's not Halloween without Beetlejuice. Jeff agrees about The Exorcist. A lot of hocus pocus. Jack says E.T. Well, there you go. Practical magic. I'm not sure if I've even seen it. The Shining. Oh no, The Shining. There's a Simpsons episode about The Shining. It's hysterical. The Simpsons Halloween of Horror is so good. Hocus Pocus is Melanie's already watched it twice. If only somebody had candles that smelled like all those things. Does somebody have candles that smell? I don't have one of those candles with me. I wish somebody did. I wish somebody would bring me a candle that smells like Halloween. Maybe like CoreMemoryCandles.com has a bunch of Halloween fall themed, I was going to call them flavors. You want to eat them, but you can't. Halloween themed scent. There you go. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which is on Disney Plus. It's not on regular TV this year. The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, Halloween Town. Becky likes The Ring. I dig The Ring and The Ring 2. Children of the Corn, the original, not the remake. The book is equally scary as well. Lisa Nerdglasser also likes The Ring. I remember watching it with your incredibly awesome hubby. We watched The Ring. We had good food that night too. Got to do that again. Oh, we should do The Ring 2 or some other really scary movie, and you can get an insane amount of sushi all over again. Devin Costa likes the Haunted Mansion movie and Clue. I don't really think of Clue as a Halloween movie because I can watch it anytime, but Clue is one of my all-time favorite films. Maggie also likes the old school scary ghost. So I like some of the really old ones too. Like some of the Vincent Price and the Christopher Lee ones are still like hauntingly good. You watch Potter every Halloween, Witches and Wizards. A lot of people don't like to do scary. Adam says you've never seen My Mother-in-Law. Halloween Town, When Good Ghouls Go Bad, Practical Magic, The Lost. See, Lost Boys I don't think of as a Halloween movie either, but I do. It's scary. Chloe, it's good to see you again. I've said this over. I cannot wrap. I will give it another shot this year. I cannot wrap my head or my heart around Nightmare. I love Batman. I love Beetlejuice. I cannot. I love Pee-wee, but I cannot love Nightmare. A lot of love for Halloween Town, The Great Pumpkin. Did you purge my candles, Mangello? No, I burned your candles, Glassner, and I don't have any more. I've got this little teeny tiny. Look at this. This is what she gives me. This little teeny. I mean, granted, the other ones are downstairs in the kitchen, but I do need one for up. Oh, what does this? I don't even know what this smells like. It smells like Winter Lodge. It's too early for Winter Lodge. It's 177 degrees outside. Janet says The Omen. So I have a cousin whose name is Damien, and when I was a kid, I'm like, he's the spawn of Satan. Like, I was legit freaked out, and I would always look at his head for the little 666. Martin Shergold digs Nightmare Before Christmas. Father George, who I love more than anything, says, I knew the actual exorcist who was... Father George, you've never told me this story. We need to sit down over a boathouse meal, and I want to hear details. So Charlie Brown's on Apple TV this year. I knew it was on some service. I was hoping it was on Disney Plus. It's on Apple TV instead. The original Nightmare Before Elm Street is one of the best horror movies ever. Remember the first time you saw it? Like how, when you didn't know what to expect, just how scary it was. What young, very famous, was rich, not so rich anymore actor had one of his early roles in the Nightmare on Elm Street. I actually have my bestest friend in the whole wide world. Her name is Christine, and she used to live on Elm Street. And I remember when we were younger, we went to the movies one night, and there was a double feature. It shows how old I am. and it was Christine and the Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was like so freaked out. I don't know why I just thought about that. You don't even care. It doesn't matter. It's more of a personal reflection. Moving on. I don't know if I've ever seen Halloween Town. Does Rocky Horror Picture Show count as a Halloween movie? That's a question I leave for you, the audience. The Ring still creeps me out. There's actually, if you like those Japanese horror movies, I don't remember what it's called. It's called like Shio, or I'll find it. There's one on Netflix. It was like an 8-part series. It was really, really, really good. House on Haunted Hill, excellent. Private Eyes with Don Knotts, not sure. Night of the Living Dead, The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Something Wicked, This Way Comes Michael. I have not seen that in years and years and years. Maybe that's one that I have to bring back up this year. Feel the same about Nightmare. I can't get through it. Stir of Echoes. Jason, not a Halloween movie, but scary nonetheless. And you don't necessarily see the twist at the end coming. Ghostbusters. Is Ghostbusters a Halloween movie? I don't know. I'm not sure. Sleepy Hollow. I haven't seen the whole thing. Nightmare Before Christmas. Watch it last night. Father George. I never asked. Because how did I know that Father George knows the real Exorcist guy? Kira says, oh my gosh, I didn't sleep for a month after this one. Which one? After watching the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie? I know. I was that disappointed too. I was hoping it was something better than that. Who said Johnny Depp? Erica Patton Miller, you win my undying love and affection. There you go. You like this movie even though you don't know it. Your subconscious knows you like the movie. Katie's watching The Haunting of Hill. So I need to watch The Haunting of Bly Manor, which if I get done early enough tonight, I've got lots of, you don't even want to know what this office looks like. Oy vey, it's a mess. But I really, really want to watch. I'm running out of time to watch my Halloween movies because I'm so far behind. I've been up late catching up. Chloe, the Japanese horror movies are fantastic. Like, it takes 5 minutes to get past the subtitles. But there's one on Netflix. It's like, God, I have to look and see. I'm gonna have to look at my Netflix queue, because I think I still have it on my list. It's really, really good. And there are some parts that are, absolutely scary. Tim Curry is a genius. Derek, I agree 1,000%. Ju-on, that's it. Ju-on is it. If you haven't seen it, if you don't mind subtitles and you like a legit scare, watch it. There are some that, I had a tough time watching as a kid because I grew up in a big old Victorian house, and it creaked and it had lots of dark little things and dumb waiters, and when my parents would leave, much to my crying dismay, in my 20s, when they would leave and I'd be home alone, not like the movie Home Alone, I would legit get freaked out because it was this big old house and there used to be a caretaker when we first bought it, and he told us all kinds of stories. So some of the movies about haunted houses would freak me out. It is not for everyone, and it is not one, but if you like some of those, oh my God, what happens if we are going down this dark road and we get the flat tire and we're not where we're supposed to be, like a wrong turn. The Rob Zombie's Night of 1,000 Corpses is haunting. It is haunting because you're like, I know that there's freaky people like that out in the middle of nowhere, and I don't want to drive on a deserted road late at night because this is what could happen to me. It's very, very scary. It is very scary. Not one to watch with the kiddies. I haven't seen Tower of Terror. Anything with Steve Guttenberg is not necessarily, I think just on its face, it's de facto not scary. Haunting of Bly is more of a love story. Oh, I'm so disappointed. Now I'm not as encouraged to. Well, you might have helped me out, so now I'm not as encouraged to watch it. The Haunting in Connecticut. The music in the original Halloween is the scariest ever. I also agree that it is incredibly scary. The original Ringu is great. The American version is just okay. Maybe I need to watch that. Maybe I need to watch the original Japanese version, because that's what Ju-on is sort of a. I'm not. Is it like a? Is it a directly tied in sequel to The Ring? Like, I know it's associated with it, but I don't know if it was actually officially a tied in sequel. Omen, Flatliners. Did I ride the dumbwaiter? No. We ended up closing the dumbwaiter up because I think my parents were afraid that I'd get caught in there and they would never find me, and it would be like The Ring and I'd be stuck up there forever. Vicky Guppy, I agree. The Vincent Price House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price was he was such a phenomenal actor because of the way he could, like that scene from the original finale of The Great Movie Ride. We didn't need voices. We had faces. Like, just the way he could emote in his face. The Pit and the Pendulum was another really, really good one. Maggie says, I grew up in a haunted house. I swear I'm not crazy. I love your rich kid horror stories. This is why we're not friends, among many other reasons. Top 8 Japanese horror films that Becky just Googled on Ask Jeeves. I have seen The Ring. Why do I want to say I've seen Pulse? That sounds like one. Salem's Lot. Christine, that's a really good one, because when that kid comes floating up to the window, man, it freaked me to freak out, because I have a brother and I always imagine him floating by my big, it was not a rich kid house. It was just an old house. My parents got it as a steal because it was empty for years, but we had a big sort of window in my room, and I always imagine my brother floating in front of it. Don't ever tell him I said that. So, The Ghost in Mr. Chicken, the original Fly, even the Fly with not so sexy Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park, but Jeff Goldblum from The Fly was wonderfully scary in a good way as well. Jason Knapp, the Blair Witch Project was scary because of the way it was scary because they didn't have a big budget. And that final scene where the newspaper boy from Spaceship Earth is staring at the wall, still to this day gives me the heebie-jeebies. Something fierce. Amityville Horror, Donald Nicholson, when the two little eyes are up in the window. I remember being in my grandmother's basement watching that, and I knew it was coming, and it still freaked me out. And that song, which I'm not going to sing, yeah. Again, because of the house that I grew up with in, I think it made it even more scary. Mariana Shalaba Felice, I remember, if you're still here, I remember being in Mom's basement watching the Amityville Horror and freaking out over the two pig eyes up in the window. And there were other, like, my brother was watching and somebody else was watching, and they're like, no, those aren't eyes. Those are flashlights, kid. Don't make... But I remember, and I was scared. The only thing scarier than that, Mariana, was a stupid clown painting in your bedroom. But I'm not going to go down that road because it brings back horrible memories, and I don't have enough money for psychotherapy again. So, there you go. Midsommar traumatized me. I think that's on one of my queues in one of my streamings. I need to make time to watch some of these. Tonight, maybe. I'll have to see. The Shining is brilliant story. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. You can't see it, but there's actually a couple of Stephen King books. Well, there were Stephen King books in here somewhere. I've been purging a lot. the books don't always translate well into movies, and I know Stephen King did not love the version of The Shining. I did just watch Doctor Sleep, a little bit disappointing. Although I love Obi-Wan Kenobi in it, um, it was not terrifying at all. Like if I'm going in, I'm going all in. Like scare me, like bring it on. Night of a Thousand Corpses, scary, gory but scary. Martin Shergold, the original Thing, my dad said, was the scariest movie he ever saw when he was a kid, when he was younger. The original Thing freaked him the freak out, and even the remake of the Thing, 79, 80 or so, has some of the best special effects that I think still hold on to say, it's the shinin. Want to get sued? I know exactly what you're talking about. Again, Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. It's all on Disney Plus. Watch it. They're fantastic. So, Kira, I've never seen Shaun of the Dead. Love the old Stephen King books. Not a fan of the newer stuff. I haven't seen. I haven't read any of the new stuff. I haven't read Stephen King in years. I would love to. Do I go to Universal for Halloween? Don't tell anybody. I did go to Halloween Horror Nights last year, and understand what I mean when I say this. I wish they did the rest of the park all day, like all year long, as well as they execute Halloween Horror Nights. The lines are long, the crowds are crowdy, but some of the houses are really, really, really well done. So I dig it because it's legit. It's a legit scary thing. So, and if you go with a group of friends, it makes it even better. Tim Curry as Pennywise, without a doubt, I agree. Wait, who said that? Tim Curry as Pennywise, and it scares me. It says, hey, Mark Williams, 100%. Tim Curry as Pennywise is better than Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise in the updated It and It 2. So we need to hit the 2 Horror Night houses this year. Not if you're going to continue to be mean to me. I'm going to go without you. So, Silver Bullets. Yeah, another Stephen King. Don Nicholson, I know that you sent me. I'm like 100 Facebook messages behind. I promise I'm going as fast as I can. Lou is the scariest thing at Horror Nights. He hides around corners and jumps out at you. What? You must have me confused with somebody else. Gretchen Marie, Pet Sematary is not only an insanely scary. The book is scarier than the movie, but the movie is scary. And Herman Munster, and Utes, the 2 Utes. No, he wasn't Herman Munster. Wait, he was Fred Gwynn. Was really, really good in that. And that kid that played Gage, man, I will bet that kid's possessed. Like, he wasn't playing a kid who was possessed. He was just legit possessed. The Hitcher. Start with The Shining, won't be disappointed. Pet Sematary. Skeleton Crew is a collection of short stories. I also have, the one I haven't finished is Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is around here. I've brought it on like 40 different planes, and I've never gotten more than like 2 pages in. So, Scary Stories. I still have a fear of my Achilles tendon slice because of that. I mean, not to give it away, but yeah. Will Lou be wearing Spider-Man PJs? Chrissy, I often wear Spider-Man PJs, so there's a good chance that I will. So, yeah, Sixth Sense, again, great movie, not necessarily a Halloween movie. So I'll have to put, or maybe somebody wants to put this up in the clubhouse. What is your favorite scary movie? Or how about some recommendations for movies to, watch in the dark? Really scary, good movies, whether they be, psychological thrillers, demonic possession, slasher, whatever it might be. What are some of the really good scary movies that we need to watch? I have a list on Evernote somewhere. Let me look on my Evernote because I wrote a list down. I was like, these are some of the scary movies that I need to watch, and I don't remember what I did with them because I have 9,000 things in Evernote. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. I had made a list for. Oh, here you go. Sinister, Mercy Black, The Conjuring, Insidious, Green Room, The Black Room, a lot of rooms, Hush, Creep, The Witch, Veronica. Chernobyl Diaries is supposed to be incredibly disturbing and malevolent. And I believe most of those are on streaming services. So if anybody's seen any of those, Sinister, Mercy Black, The Conjuring, Insidious, Green Room, The Black Room, Hush, Creep, The Witch, Veronica, Chernobyl Diaries, and Malevolent. Scary movies. Lou doing Grease. It is a scary movie. Trust me. Jeepers Creepers. Poltergeist. The original Poltergeist, the first time you see it, is incredibly scary. When that door opens and that thing comes out and and then the things in the pool. Yeah. Joyland was pretty good. Static on TV still freaks me out. The Babadook scared the heck out of me. That kid, oi. I think the Babadook I have on my Netflix list to watch. I don't think I've seen it. Poltergeist started my fear of clowns. I hate clowns. I can't close my eyes because they will get me. William Krasinski, you're lucky you didn't grow up with my cousin Mariana. That picture of the scary clowns. Mariana, I was going to say send me a picture of it, but don't, because it's going to freak me out and bring back a lot of traumatic memories from my time as a kid. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because as long as we're talking about things to watch, it sounds to me like this is a good time to transition back to Disney and my Disney Plus pick of the week. There you go. That's the only effect that I have for you. And before we get to this week's, last week, again, I was away. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but who did their homework and actually made sure that they watched Treasure Planet? Treasure Planet, I believe, was your assignment for last week, which was really 2 weeks ago, was to tune in to Treasure Planet. And if you, I won't go too much into it, but I'd love to know if you've seen it, if you watched it this week, and what you thought about it. Very quickly, it's a 2002 film that was an adaptation of, obviously, Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island. Treasure Planet, for me, just a quick personal story, was one that I loved watching with my kids when I was younger. And I had such a personal affinity for it, not just because I liked the story, but I loved how, and it was unique for the time, it blended 2D hand-drawn animation on top of 3D animation. So you get sort of the best of both worlds in terms of the visuals. And at the time, it cost like $140 million to make. I know at the time it was the most expensive, traditionally, quote unquote, animated film ever made. I don't know if that has been eclipsed at all. And one of the reasons why I think I liked it so much was because it was written, produced, and directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who, the Little Mermaid guys. And they actually originally pitched the concept for that film when they pitched Little Mermaid. So they were trying to work on this for a long, long time. And it's interesting because it took a long time to get the film made. It took almost 4.5 years to create, but it was pitched like way earlier, like back in the mid 80s, and was actually pitched as a movie. It was supposed to be called Treasure Island in Space, which I think is really, really stupid. And it sounds like a really bad B movies from like the 1950s. And the first time they met with Michael Eisner, Clement and Musker pitched it, and Michael Eisner said no. He rejected it because he was actually developing a Star Trek sequel that was actually going to have like a Treasure Island feel and storyline to it. So obviously that Star Trek was never made. So he was like, absolutely not. 4 years later, Little Mermaid comes out, right? They're like, okay, we've got this. We're going to pitch it again. Studio says no. some time goes by. Aladdin comes out. They pitch it another time to Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the head of the studios at the time. He too, not interested. So it's been rejected year after year. Eisner, Katzenberg. So Clements and Musker are like, you know what? Forget it. We're going to the top. We're going to somebody who's got Disney in their name. And they went to Roy Disney, who at that point was still the chairman of feature animation. And he's like, I dig it. I like it. Hey, Eisner, you're making this movie. And Eisner, I don't want to say he caved or he agreed, but they decided to do it. And again, it's now 1995, and they negotiate with Clements and Musker and say, okay, you can do Treasure Planet once Hercules is finished, which is fine because it actually worked out well because the technology and the type of visuals that they wanted to create for the film didn't really exist. They wanted to sort of move the camera, and so the technology hadn't been really developed as yet. So the fact that it didn't begin principal animation until 2000 actually really was a blessing in disguise. And if you watch, speaking of which, if you watch the credits for the film, there's about 1,000 crew members that worked on the actual film. So it was a huge production. If you listen carefully, you'll probably recognize a lot of the voices. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Brian Murray, David Hyde Pierce, Martin Short was Ben, who I loved, Roscoe Lee Brown, Emma Thompson, who was pregnant at the time, Laurie Metcalf, and Patrick McGowan this was his last role. And the music, which is wonderful, was actually composed by James Newton Howard. So there's a lot of elements that come together, both from a visual standpoint, from a budgetary standpoint, from the voice actor standpoint. It's Clement and Musker on paper. It's going to work. And it did not do well. It cost about $140 million. And it only made about $38 million. So even worldwide, it only brought in about 110. So it lost money, but yet it was also, and I think people don't realize, it was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards. So the film, again, on paper, had all the requisite elements. It didn't perform well, but I think what's happened is, like a lot of films like this, over time, it starts to develop a slight cult following. And I'm curious to see who watched it for the first time as a result of it being a pick of the week. So Heather says, I watched Treasure Planet for the first time last week. Really good. Visually very pretty. I agree. I think from a visual perspective, not only does the film hold up nearly 20 years later, but I think some of the scenes, especially of the ship when it's in space, and again, it's dated to a certain degree. Like there's one part where Jim is sort of on this solar windsurfer, which windsurfing, was popular 20, 30 years ago. It might still be. But I don't feel that it's necessarily dated because it is such a classic, it's the Stevenson story told pretty true to form with a few changes here and there. But I agree. Chris Owner says, my dog. Well, Chris, the nice thing is that if you haven't seen it, you can still watch it anytime you want. And I won't take off any points for being late. So just bring a snack and we'll be good. Stephanie, I love the fact that you loved it and so did your 5-year-old. That's part of the point of doing this, is to be able to watch these kind of things together, which is why some of the things that I choose are ones that you can enjoy with your family. Susie watched it because it was a pick of the week, although it was already on your list. It was definitely before its time in many ways, says Victoria. Victoria says that too. It's a great hidden Disney gem for sure. And that's part of the idea, is to turn you on to ones that you've probably seen, you've heard the names, but it just never really pops to the top of your list. Beth never liked the book Treasure Island. She never saw it, not even for homework. You missed your assignment. You don't get a gold star, nor do you get a special snack at recess. So that's the only punishment that you get. Melanie loves the films. It's one of my go-to movies. sometimes I think we all have those, right? Those movies that we go to and we just want to feel good. And I'm happy to see that Treasure Planet is one of those for some of you. So William says, it was really fun. I'm glad I finally watched it. Brian watched it in theaters. Martin Shergold from the UK says in his cute little English accent, it's so underrated. It's a Brill movie to me. A lot of underrated here. Molly watched it and then watched Treasure Island. So you get a bonus for going above and beyond, for doing a little extra credit. You get somebody bring her an extra cupcake because she watched both. I really need to go back and watch the Disney version of Treasure Island and Swiss Family Robinson. They're on the list. But you know what? Not this week, because it is time to move on to this week's Disney Plus Pick of the Week. Remember when I said I was going to do a relatively short show? It's 8:45. Here we are. So for this week's Disney Plus Pick of the Week, there really was only one. That's not true. There was about 5 I was choosing from, but I had to go with one that has continued to pop up in my feed, in my brain, and for a variety of reasons, even in preparation for this show. And it is, of course, Hocus Pocus. If you have never seen or haven't seen Hocus Pocus in a long time, it is definitely one to watch. It is our Disney Plus Pick of the Week this week. This film was a little bit older than the other. It was a 1993 film with Bette Midler, Kathy Najimy, and Sarah Jessica Parker. And I won't sort of spoil the story for you, but this too was another one that, when it came out, maybe not critically popular, but has definitely taken on a cult following over the years. So I see a lot of you say you have never seen it. You've seen it and you love it. It doesn't matter. I want you to please go and check it out this week. There will be a quiz, and by quiz, I mean friendly, lighthearted discussion. Maybe I'll take some phone calls next week, and you can call in, let me know what you think about. Maybe what I'll do is I'll call Becky, and I'll make sure that she's not reading off Wikipedia, and will tell us what she thought of Hocus Pocus. And what I'll do is I will have a Hocus Pocus quiz for Becky. I'll ask her like 10 questions about Hocus Pocus, and depending on how she does, there will be some sort of reward for me, or we'll figure something out. But Becky, you are being put on notice. You now have 7 days to watch Hocus Pocus. It is a fun, funny, and wonderful film. So Hocus Pocus is my pick of the week. It is your assignment this week. And if there's a movie that you'd like to see me add to my pick of the week list, let me know. Call the voicemail. You can call about this week. You can call about Treasure Planet. Make a suggestion in the clubhouse, and we will add it to the list. And hopefully you're having some fun. All right. I wish we could watch these together. I still think I want to do some sort of a nation watch party for those of you who are part of the WDW Radio Nation. Speaking of which, by the way, stay tuned. I'm working on some new rewards, which my mom really had a lot of nerve dying when she did. It's thrown quite a few wrenches in my plans, but I have some new rewards launching for the nation very, very soon. So please support the show. Find out how you can get all the different types of benefits by going to WDWRadioNation.com. For those of you who are platinum members, did you dig part of your care package your personalized care package this month? I made those by myself for you. I designed those, I made them out, and I sent them for you. Someone must hate children. Becky, you're going to love it. Becky, you're going to love Hocus Pocus. It's witches that don't like children. It's basically like a biography. So it's perfect for you. You will relate to the film. I am 100% sure. But that is going to do it for tonight. Again, don't forget to enter the trivia contest this week so you can win the prize package, including this handy dandy WDW Radio Cobalt mug. I'm not going to send you this one. Not that I have drank out of it, but I promise I'll send you a brand spanking new one as well. Also, don't forget that I have continuing auctions on eBay every single week from my collection. If you notice, the shelves behind me are getting they're getting lesser and lighter, and things are coming out of the closet. They're coming out of the garage. Some things I even found at my mother's house, and I have some really interesting items that I'm going to be putting up very, very soon. Again, if you are thinking about coming on the cruise, if you're coming to Walt Disney World, go to mousefantravel.com and tell them that Lou sent you. And look, if you are interested in coming on the cruise, please, you can go get a free no obligation quote. We do have a couple of cabins still available. Don't forget to spread the word, please, about this week's show or your favorite show, whatever it might be. Tell your friends, spread the word, and also don't forget to please invite them to join the WDW Radio Clubhouse. It is where the community and conversation lives, and it is the place that you built, and that I am so incredibly fortunate to be able to share with you guys. And yeah, I just saw that I was on mute. That's awesome. I muted myself. Yay, me! It's like the first time I've ever done this before. Listen, if you couldn't hear me, then you have to I just said lots of really nice, good stuff. Let me just recap. Choose the good, be the good. I know that it's a really scary time, especially over the next few weeks for lots of different reasons. COVID stuff, whatever's going on. Choose the good, find the good in every situation. More importantly, be the good. It's contagious, not like COVID, but in a really good, positive way. I love you, appreciate you. If I can help you, reach out to me, let me know. Until next time, see ya. Bye. I'm an idiot.